So it's June 2020, 2nd of June, and hopefully we're past the peak of the coronavirus pandemic. Obviously a very worrying time for many people, but there's still a lot to be happy about. It's a beautiful day, the weather's been beautiful for weeks, and hopefully the UK is getting back to normal. So for me, today marks 5 months since I broke my arm, and you're probably thinking, well, it's probably fixed by now. And if you'd asked me 5 months ago if I'd be walking around a field making a video about my broken arm, I'd have thought you were mental. I thought it would be fixed by now. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, I was told that I got a non-union fracture of the humerus, so this arm here, which I'm sort of lifting up, which means it hasn't healed. And my arm at the moment is held together with a titanium rod through the shoulder down to the elbow. So that's how it keeps it in position. And then at either end of that titanium rod, my arm is held with 2 screws. So it's not ideal, but it's not healing. And what that means is that my sort of future is a little bit uncertain. So I've definitely got at least one more operation planned, which is a bit difficult at the moment because hospitals aren't really open for business the way they normally are. So I've got at least one more surgery, and hopefully not, maybe some more. So let me be really clear about what this video isn't. So this video is not a cry for help or a request for sympathy. So if you're watching this and you feel sympathetic about the fact that my arm's broken still months later, I appreciate it, but I'm not looking for comments for people to say, oh, poor you, and etc, etc. That's not why I'm making this video or series of videos, but I'll come on to that while I'm making this video a little bit later on. Let me tell you how I ended up in this mess. So I've been snowboarding for 15 years. I wouldn't say I was a particularly good snowboarder, a bit of a fair weather snowboarder. So by that I mean, if the sun's shining and it's good powder, I'm okay on the snowboard. If it's bad light, icy, not really that great on a snowboard. Now, obviously, I went skiing or snowboarding for me as a family at Christmas and New Year this year, January just gone, and unfortunately on the 4th day I was hit by another skier, and he knocked me unconscious, and as part of that collision I collapsed on the floor, and I think I'd punched myself in the face as well, which is never nice, either as my arm snapped off or shortly after it snapped off. So essentially that's how I've ended up in this mess. So I got taken off the slopes and I got transferred down to a hospital in Albertville, which is sort of the nearest hospital to Mirabel in France. So essentially that's what the next steps were. And I stayed in that hospital for about 3 days, and they pinned my arm. So what I mean by pinning my arm is they insert the titanium rod through my shoulder down to my elbow and secured that titanium rod with 2 screws. So it wasn't painful when I broke it. I did get the sleigh ride, the 200 meters from where I broke my arm back to the Hotel Alba, which is just opposite the Rompont in Mirabel. So I did take the sleigh ride, but to be fairness, I probably could have walked it. And I walked into the ambulance, walked out the ambulance, walked to the hospital. It really wasn't that painful. And I knew it snapped off. I knew it was bad. I knew I needed an operation. It wasn't that painful. Since then, my arm's been extremely painful. So I've got bursitis of the shoulder, and that's probably as a consequence of inserting the titanium rod through the ligaments of my shoulder. And so I've got the beginnings of a frozen shoulder. So bursitis is a bursa, your body's full of bursas, and the bursa on my shoulder is become inflamed. So it's got fluid in it, which means I can't move my shoulder. I've had a steroid injection to try and ease the pain and give me the movement back, which has actually latterly had some benefits. But I've not got the full movement of my shoulder back. So I've got the beginnings of a frozen shoulder, and I've got a non-union fracture of the humerus. So, 5 months after I've done it, I really did expect to be fully back to normal again, and unfortunately that's not the case. So I know why I'm laughing, but I suppose it's the irony, really. So why am I doing this video? Well, series of videos actually. I'm not doing it for any sort of sympathy. It's not a cry for help, as I said. The reason I'm doing this video is really to document my road to recovery, because I've spent 5 months trying to get better, and that's not worked. So for whatever reason, that's not worked, and it's probably a consequence of the way the surgery was performed in France. But there's no point going over the macerations of what was done, what wasn't done. So we can just forget that. So I've spent 5 months trying to recover, but what I need is a bit of motivation. So I thought doing a series of videos to actually document my road to recovery, and I'm planning on doing a video every month, just to basically, so I can look back on how much mobility I've gained back on my arm, where I am with the discomfort, and where I am with the bone actually healing. So that's the plan. So it's a little bit of motivation for me. The next reason why I thought I'd do a series of videos is when I broke my arm and I realised that something wasn't right. I started looking on the internet for help, or to see other people who've had similar issues, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything meaningful that I could relate to. So I thought I'd put this series of videos together just to answer that. Just so if anyone finds themselves in this situation, they can use me as a bit of a reference, rightly or wrongly. But at least it's, I can talk about some of the things I've done, or some of the things that have happened along the way, what to expect. So just as a reference for other people. And in addition to that, no one's an island, and I haven't got all the answers. So I don't really know what the next 5, 6, 8 months is going to have in store for me. And there may be things that some of you guys out there may know about this sort of situation: bursitis, tendonitis, frozen shoulders, non-union fractures, that you could share with me, in a sort of non-sympathetic way. So that's essentially it. I've never done a video before. Actually, that's a lie. I have done a video before. I filmed my daughter swimming a couple of weeks ago. I enjoyed that tremendously. So just the process of creating the video, editing it, putting music on it and stuff like that. And I thought, now I'm an avid watcher of YouTube, different channels. I won't name them here, but sort of car stuff and things like that. And I thought, well, it's a bit of a hobby. So if no one subscribes to this, no one watches it, people troll it, which could happen. I've got the enjoyment out of actually documenting what's happened, and it'll be something to look back on when I'm older and when this is all fixed. So, as I said at the beginning of the video, there's a lot to be positive about. weather's beautiful. You know, I'm relatively lucky in life. I've got my health. Although I'm not that healthy at the moment because I've been sitting around at home waiting for this to fix itself, and it hasn't. So I need to sort my fitness out as well, rather than just sort of sit around and think, oh, why is this not healed up yet? So yeah, there's a lot to be positive about, and much worse things happen. And there's people, you know, unfortunately, this COVID-19 situation's been awful for many people. People have car accidents all the time. There's all sorts of debilitating injuries that people end up with. So what's a broken arm in the big scheme of things, really? And that's really why I'm not particularly interested in sympathy, because it's not that bad. But what I am interested in is me getting better and just getting back to normal, because I've got a young family, I've got a wife, 2 kids, my mother's just moved up the road, and all those people rely on me in one way or the other. And at the moment, I'm not that reliable. Well, not the bad way, but you know, I'm just I'm not the way I was. You know, so I can't do the sort of things I was doing before. And of course, that has an impact on them as well. So I need to get this sorted out. So that's it. Hope you subscribe to the channel if you're interested, and if you don't, well, I'll just be here getting on with this as best I can. So I'm waiting for an operation. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but essentially that'll be soon, and they're going to take the screw out of the bottom of my arm, which is down here. So I'll just show you that. See that scar there? That's where the screw is on my arm. Looks a bit of a mess actually, so they might tidy that scar up at the same time. So yeah, they're going to take the screw out of the bottom of my arm, and they're going to push my arm up the metal pin. So that's going to make my arm the same length as another arm. It's only fractionally longer, but it's too long for the bone to heal. So that's what's in store for me next, is an operation there, and then more physiotherapy. And hopefully this time the physiotherapy will be a bit more of a success. Meanwhile, I've obviously got the battle of tendonitis and the bursitis, and unfreeze my shoulder. So you know, lots of challenges there. So undoubtedly I'll learn a few things along the way. And if any of you guys got some tricks or secrets about these sorts of situations, then please feel free to reach out and tell me what you'd be doing about it. But that's it. So hope you're okay wherever you are. It's June in 2020. So if you're watching this in the future, I do very much hope that this coronavirus thing is been and gone, and if there's a vaccine, we've had the vaccine, or if we just stamped it out, we've stamped it out. So all the best. Take care.